tonight. I'm going to start with prayer and then we'll move on. Father, I thank you for these amazingly brilliant, genius group of women that you've called from all over. I pray now that they would have a new passion, a new zeal, a new excitement, a new anointing for all that you've called them to do. I thank you, Lord, for stretching them, helping them, bringing all the necessary resources and people in their lives to take them to the next level. I call in the perfect nannies, the perfect cooks, the perfect housekeepers, the perfect personal assistants, the perfect CMOs, CEOs, marketing directors. I call them in right now in Jesus' name. I thank you, Lord God, that they would stay ahead of change and that they would not just be on the cutting edge, but they would make the edge. And Father, I thank you for all these things. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. So, ladies, I'm excited to have you guys on tonight. Glad you jumped on. And just in the way of announcements, we got some really exciting things coming up. You know, I've told you that I went to Wall Street a couple of weeks ago. We did the whole exploration, looking at the history of Wall Street, and went to Museum of American Finance, went to where the slaves were actually auctioned off on Wall Street and learned about the history. Then we also went to the African burial grounds, which is right across the street from the CIA, IRS. Just, I mean, the whole experience was absolutely positively, hands down, totally and completely mind blowing. You know, and it was so awesome to be there as a little chocolate girl because, you know, even today, Wall Street is still very much dominated by our white brothers. And so it was just great to be there. And then we also partnered up with another young lady who is actually an attorney, a sister on Wall Street. And so she was a part of the whole tour, hanging out with us. We were taping the film Black Friday Part 2 and just doing the whole exploration of Wall Street and the financial district. And so it was just really powerful because I believe that without a shadow of a doubt, we need to understand what's happening on Wall Street, how it impacts us, and then also how we can participate in all of that money that's being that's moving every single day. So, so anyway, we're going to be taking a trip. Woo, woo, I'm so excited. You know, I told you we finally got the dates down. We're putting the last touches on the package now. And hopefully you'll be getting that information tomorrow because we're going to release that information to you all first. But it's going to be August the 3rd through the 5th, which is the first Thursday in August through the first Saturday. So what we're going to do, you'll check in on that Thursday, and then we're going to have dinner, a networking event at an amazing restaurant right in the middle of Wall Street where everything happens. I promise you this trip, it will be one to remember. So we're going to do dinner there. So that'll be fabulous. And then the next day we're going to get up. We'll be doing a photo shoot in front of the bull. You all probably heard me talk about the bull. Bull basically represents a bullish market. And, you know, New York and the whole Wall Street is the largest financial district in the entire world. Okay, so everything happens there, which is why when the terrorists hit, they wanted to hit the Twin Towers because they knew if we hit a country and its pocket, or you hit a man in his pocket, then you can really hit him. So anyway, but that next day we're going to do a photo shoot in front of the bull, and then right in front of the bull is the fearless girl. So basically, bull again represents the bullish market. Bullish market represents that the market is going up, and so it's just very, very. It's like prophetic symbolism of everything that's getting ready to happen in your life financially, that is getting ready to absolutely explode. So we're going to be doing that, and then there's a little fearless girl in front of the bull. You know, both of these are statues. And she's looking at the bull like, I'm not afraid of you. And so it's just cool that we're doing it. So the whole theme is Black Girls Take Wall Street. And so attorney Mary will be there. My other business partner, Dr. China, will be there. It's going to be amazing. So that's going to be coming up. Again, August 3rd through the 5th. We're also going to take a boat tour. I don't know if you knew this or not, but the Queen, or not the Queen, but the Statue of Liberty was given by France to America, and originally it was supposed to be a Black woman. So there's a whole history around that. We'll learn about that. And so we'll be doing a boat tour because the harbor is right there off of Wall Street. Everything happens right there. And then we'll also be doing, going to the Museum of American Finance. They're actually getting ready to make Harriet Tubman put her on the $20 bill. So that's amazing. We'll also have an opportunity to look at other African Americans that are on currencies that you may not know about. So that's going to be happening. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then and then that'll be it. Okay. And then on that Saturday morning, we'll have an optional meeting that you can come to. That meeting will be totally and completely optional, where we'll be talking about trading foreign currency. So the trip technically will be over Saturday. It'll be 2 power packed, fully packed days. You'll definitely want to bring your walking shoes, but also bring your heels too, ladies, because you know when we go out, we gonna slay. But we're gonna be doing a lot of walking. You know, everything happens right there. So this is gonna be a ton of fun. If you've never done New York, New York is just a ton of fun. If you've done New York before, you haven't done New York with us and the girls, and so you need to do it because it's gonna be a lot of fun, okay? So again, just kind of mark that down on your calendars, and we'll give you the full pricing and everything. Hopefully within the next 24 hours, we'll be able to get that out to you, okay? And then we're also gonna be getting ready to plan a trip next year. A couple things. We're gonna be doing Millionaires Getaway Miami. I'm working on the final touches of that. Hopefully I'll have that done within the next 45 days. And then if you're in the Atlanta area on June the 6th, and any of you are interested in getting involved in the real estate market, I will be going to the tax sale on June the 6th, okay? And so if anybody's interested in doing tax liens, that investment is $25,000. But the amazing things, you can turn around and put those properties right back on the market for 6 figures and more. And Kathy has done that. She flipped a property. We sold her property for $270,000. Okay. I don't know if Kathy Kirkland is on here tonight, but so that'll be going on June the 6th. Also on that night, I'll be doing a Millionairess meetup on that night in Atlanta, Georgia. So if you're in Atlanta and you want to come hang out with me on that day, that'll be cool. That'll be going on June 6th. Okay. All right, great. So I'm excited because tonight I was at the She Magazine event in Atlanta, Georgia a couple weeks ago, and I ran into the creatively brilliant Zane. I love talking to this woman. I mean, she's just like so full of ideas and so brilliant. Many of you have probably seen her movies. She's been on the big screen. She's also written books that are very, very well known and famous. And so I'm so excited and honored to have her on tonight, because even though she's accomplished a lot, just being able to talk to her in Atlanta, just all the things that she has going on. I mean, she's just an absolute creatively brilliant person, and at the same time, extremely gracious and extremely humble. You know, that I just love seeing women that are major powerhouses, but some of the sweetest, down-to-earth people you ever want to meet. It is always so refreshing. And so anyway, having that opportunity to talk to her, I said, I want you to come on and talk to the ladies on the club, just because you've done some amazing things. Not only have you accomplished a lot of amazing things, but you have a lot of amazing things in the works right now that I think is huge. Because it's one thing to, have an amazing moment, have an amazing film, have an amazing book, have an amazing year. But it's another thing when you year after year after year after year just continue to make really great products. Some of the products you may not even know that she is behind. So we're going to welcome to the stage tonight the amazing Zane. Zane, you there, darling? Okay, let me unmute her.
Hi, everybody. Here I am.
Hey, honey. Thank you so
Hi.
much for joining us.
Thank you for such a great introduction.
Girl, you like so bad. You are so bad. So I
Oh,
want
thank
to first, I know everybody on here knows who you are. We sent out an email to the ladies so they know exactly who you are, what you've done. And of course, a lot of them were all already very, very familiar with your work. Tell us about, even though they know it, I just want to hear from you
you.
about when you kind of started in the whole film industry. Did you always know that you wanted to do film?
Well, this is so funny. As a child, all of my teachers told me I was going to grow up and become a famous writer. And it really only happened when I got like bored, and I never intended to put a book out. This is why I know I'm doing what I consider walking in my gift, because all of this for a lot of the things was unintentional. So I was living in North Carolina at the time, and I got really bored and started writing, and just posting stuff on the internet. And I ended up building up this really big following to a rumor got started that I had a book out, and I had no intention of putting out a book. So eventually, when people were going to bookstores looking for my books and all that stuff, I said, well, you know what? Let me put a book out and see what happens, because I was using a fake name anyway. I said, in the worst case scenario, it flops and nobody ever knows I did it. And in the best case scenario, it might actually work. So I did. I put out the Sex Chronicles Shattering the Myth and followed that up with Addicted, a novel that I had written that I had planned to give away free on the internet, like post one chapter a month or something like that. And it just turned into a very interesting situation where now I'm writing books 39 and 40. I have been Zane now for 20 years this year. And
Wow.
I have been blessed to publish over 110 other authors under my 3 imprints at Simon and Schuster. So none of this, it's just so funny because, well, what happened with the film thing? Well, first, the television show, my first TV series came, and it was literally HBO asked if I could come to New York for a meeting. And I'm like, sure. So I get there and I get in the room and they tell me that they had decided they wanted to do an urban late night series on Cinemax. And that they had gone out and purchased like 7 copies of the Sex Chronicles, and all of the key people had read it, and they had decided they wanted to do it. But after they met me and heard about how I had literally led a double life for 5 years, they said, "You're so funny, we'd rather the show be about you." So that's how it turned into Zane Sex Chronicles, with someone portraying me as the main character, and it being like 2 shows in one. And then, of course,
Wow.
I did Zane's The Jump Off. But meanwhile, in between while, I got an email one day from someone at Lionsgate saying I represent an executive at Lionsgate, and we were wondering, are the rights to your book, Addicted, available? And I said no. And they emailed me back and they were like, what do you mean no? I said, well, I'm not interested in an optioning deal. I said, I'm only interested in a production deal. I said, because I know way too many authors who have had their books optioned and then there's never a movie. I said, I'd rather just maintain my rights unless I know it's going to actually be a movie. So that's how the whole thing started with that. And they made the movie. So I've been kind of spoiled, to be honest with you. And I'm still kind of spoiled because things are still kind of like just falling into my lap, which is a blessing.
Yeah.
So, but I'm very, excited about it because a lot of people say, how do you do everything you're doing? But the funny part is I never feel like I'm working. The only thing I hate doing is
Wow.
paperwork. I hate doing paperwork when it comes down to contracts and stuff like that. I hate paperwork. But outside of that, I literally, everything that I do, I'm passionate about. And again, I feel like I'm walking in my gift. So I don't feel like I'm working. The only thing
Wow.
that happens is I can get overwhelmed at times. Like I'm a little bit
Mhm.
overwhelmed right now because I have a lot going on. But that's a good thing, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is powerful. I love how you say you never feel like you're working. It's
Mhm.
interesting. I don't know if I've ever thought about it like that, but I love what I do. So I work really long days, but I just love it because I'm
And
doing
that's
what I
very
love to do.
important. That's
Yeah.
very important when people choose what they want to do with their life. Choose something that's not going to have you stressed out. Like literally in this entertainment industry, I have walked away from so much stuff. I almost walked away from something earlier, well, at the end of last week, but I got it straight, So now I feel comfortable with the situation. But I won't do anything I don't feel comfortable about. And I'm not going to, I work very hard at keeping my life peaceful. And you can be extremely busy and be doing 12, 15. I'm probably doing at least 12 different things technically, but I don't have any people stressing me out. But it's on purpose, and that's what happens a lot of times. And I'm assuming it's the kind of stuff we're supposed to be talking about. That's why I'm saying
Yeah.
it.
Absolutely.
A lot of times in business, in particular, you have to know when God is trying to tell you not to go through a particular door and to go through a different door. So for me, the way that I judge that, engage that, is if something comes not extremely easy, but somewhat easily where it's not a lot, there's no drama and no hiccups and stuff like that. I say to myself, "Oh, this is a good situation. It makes sense to me." But the second that things start getting tricky and there's drama involved and people start getting brand new and stuff, that's when I know to walk away.
Wow, that's good. So let me ask you this. Who are some of the celebrities that you've worked with?
Oh wow. Whew, that's a long list, girl. Well, for
Oh, wait, let me
Addicted,
tell you. Wait.
I really had a hard knock life with Addicted, having to work with Boris Kojo, Tyson Beckford, and William Levi all at the same time. That was really tough. Well, that was really tough on a sister. Um, I mean, wow. I mean, I know, honestly, I know a ton of celebrities. I really am not one to like just like talk about who I know. But I'll say this: it's a very small, close knit community, particularly with African Americans in entertainment. So I would say, on the low end, I probably know at least 40 to 50% of African American celebrities that most people are familiar with. I'll just put it that way. I know them in
Who
one form or another.
who are some of your favorite? Have you ever worked with Tyler?
I know Tyler, but I never walk with Tyler. And I'll tell you why, honestly, well, it's never come up, but Tyler and I basically do the same thing. I mean, there's no reason, I'm doing my thing, he's doing his thing. There's really
Mm-hmm.
no reason for us to like work together. Not that he's ever
Mm-hmm.
asked, but I've never asked him either. I mean, I do the same thing. I
Right.
create, I write scripts, I show run, I executive produce. So everything
Mm-hmm.
that Tyler is doing, I do as well. And I'm
Do
getting
you?
ready to do several more television shows and, films and stuff. I took a little hiatus. I needed a break. But it was so funny because I went to Hollywood recently. I was there 4 days and I picked up 6 projects in 4 days. And now
Wow.
I'm about to pick up several more. So, I mean, not trying to be funny or anything, but it's just that I don't, I do the same thing Tyler does. He's just done it a lot more than I have. But I mean, I do the same thing. So, and I enjoy the creative process. So, I mean, because I literally, like a lot of people, when I keep saying we're literally, but a lot of people assume when a writer gets a television show or a film that they're just getting like the executive producer credit because it's their stuff. I'm totally different. I actually am the creator of my stuff. I write all
Mm.
the scripts. I make the casting decisions. I am the showrunner. Just like Shonda Rhimes is a showrunner. There are very few Black African American female showrunners. I'm actually
Mm.
one of the few. And I executive produce everything, meaning I'm on the set 14 hours a day, 6 days a week at bare minimum. So I'm really,
Wow.
yeah.
So
It's a lot of work, but I love it.
so when you're doing a show, do you already have in mind, or you're doing a film? You're doing, because I think you told me you're working on 4 movies right now and 2 series. Is that right?
Actually, a little bit more than that now. Than I saw you. Yeah, yeah.
Girl, that was just a couple of weeks ago. You move
I know,
fast.
right?
So let me ask you, when you get ready to do a movie, that's our babies in the background, so it's nobody on here
No
but me.
problem.
But when you're doing a movie, do you have in mind like the person that you want to play that particular role?
Sometimes, I mean, with Addicted, Sharon Lill ended up playing the lead role, but originally we had about 90 women, all well-known women, try out for the role. I
Oh
never
wow.
really realized until then how many African American actresses there really were out here. And then when they all started showing up, I was like, wow, I didn't think about her. I didn't think about her. We had the director and I discussed um, Boris, who I've known for quite a while, being the husband. And then we had the
Mm.
discussion. The director called me one night and he said, what do you think about Boris playing the husband? I said, I'm cool with Boris. I like Boris. And so then we started thinking about, well, who is she? Who who is a woman going to cheat on Boris with? So, we thought about Tyson as one guy, but then we said the main guy, William Levi at the time was like the biggest, telenovela male star. He had a telenovela that like 50 million people watch 5 nights a week. But
Mm.
um, his actually Addicted was his first English speaking role. He was in Single
Mm.
Moms Club that actually came out a little bit before Addicted, but Addicted was filmed first. So Addicted, I decided, okay, well, he's hot. He's exotic. Again, she has to be willing to cheat on Boris. Who is this one man? She's tempted all the time, but who is this one man where she just can't resist the temptation? So we picked William,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a great choice because women were going crazy at the premieres and stuff. In fact, Boris and Tyson were joking like, we might as well not even be here because the women were like coming with William Levi signs and just screaming. And at one premiere, Tyson got up and got some Twizzlers from somebody in the audience because it was like William. So anyway, that was a very good choice. And
Wow.
so sometimes I have somebody in mind. A lot of times somebody might come in and embody a role. Now, Maria Howe, who played the main character's mother in Addicted, actually is my cousin. But she's been in a lot
Mm,
of stuff. She was in the Hunger Games, Divergent. I mean, she's been in a lot of stuff. Going all the way
mm,
back to The Color Purple. I just happen to have a lot of
mm.
people in my family who are also entertainment, which is very strange. We have
Got
a lot
it.
of people in my family that, like Robbie Reed, who's the vice president of talent and casting for BET, is my cousin. I actually have three cousins that work at BET, believe it or not. So we
Oh,
just have,
wow.
and Chris Turner, who wrote that movie Something New, that Sanaa Lathan starred in. That's my cousin, and
Mm.
Dr. Phil, I mean Uncle Phil from the Fresh Prince was my cousin. I mean, I have a lot of
Oh,
cousins in the entertainment industry. It's very
wow,
strange.
wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow. So let me ask you this, because like you said, there are not a lot of, even today. I mean, you would think that there would be more African Americans holding down Hollywood when you look at the total demographic in comparison to
Hmm.
African Americans. So when I think of executive producer, showrunners, directors, writers, really, I just think of you, Shonda Rhimes, Debbie Allen. Is there anybody else that we're kind of missing?
Mary Brock Ali, who did the Parkers and the Game, and she's now doing Being Mary Jane. Um,
Oh, okay.
there, that many. Actually, the year Addicted came out, there were only two movies produced by African American women, and one was The Butler, that was executive produced by Oprah. Another one was Addicted, which was executive produced by myself, and another black female, Sharice Nesbitt. But that year, there were only two films in theaters
Wow.
that were executive produced by black women, which to me
So
is
do
sad.
you, yeah, for sure. So are there more black men?
Um, there's some. I mean, the interesting thing is we really just have to. Um, I personally feel it's better to do a lot of things independently, which I'm doing both right now. I'm doing independent and studio, but with independent films, you can be more creative. You
Mm,
can, because a lot of times in Hollywood, they're a little bit leery about doing certain stuff because they don't want to seem like they're exploiting African Americans in a certain way or stuff like that, and a lot of times they just don't understand. So it's
mm,
often better if you can. If you look at a lot of the most successful African American movies that have really like made an impact, they were done independently, which is why I'm going that right now too. Like if you look at Fruitvale Station, for example. Now, the guy that directed Fruitvale Station, that was an independent film. Now he's directing big movies like Creed and stuff like that. And I think he
mm,
um, either did Black Panther or one of the fantastic. I don't know, but he's doing big movies now. But you look at Precious with Lee Daniels. You see what I'm saying? Honestly, that movie was picked up at film festivals after it was already made. But I can tell
mm,
you right now, it would have been hard to get a Hollywood studio to actually greenlight that movie because of the subject matter. But once
mm,
it was done, then, and it got like a lot of critical acclaim and stuff at film festivals, that was a
mm,
different story. And that's just
mm,
not the case with African American films. It's the case with films. A lot of the movies that win like Academy Awards or Best Actress or Best Actor are independent films, and a lot of big stars will go and do an independent film, so they'll have an opportunity to do something off the beaten path. Like for
mm,
example, Charlize Theron when she did that movie Monster and played the prostitute who was a serial killer, Eileen Warnes.
mm.
That won her an Oscar. You know,
Wow.
and then what's her name? Bree, the girl that's in Kong Island now, the King Kong movie, but she won Best Actress last year for that movie Room, which was an independent movie that was really about a girl who was trapped in a room with her son that she had via,
Mm,
being kidnapped and used by this man for sex, and she won. Brie Larson, she won Best Actress for that. So a lot of times these independent movies, like look at Moonlight. Moonlight just won Best Picture. You see,
mm,
again, that
mm.
was a movie that probably would have been difficult to sell to Hollywood if they had just gone in there
Yeah.
with that script. But once it was made, it got critically acclaimed and won Best
Mhm.
Picture.
Yeah, so it's not, so when you go independent, you have to do all your own funding. So
Yes,
the when you say studio, that's like a Lionsgate, right?
right. Mhm.
Okay. So, what are some of the other studios? You got Lionsgate and who
Oh
else?
wow, Sony, Screen Gems, Fox Searchlight, um, goodness, MGM, Universal Pictures. There's a whole lot of them. Yeah, and then a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them are subsidiaries of other companies. So like
Got it.
Lionsgate has quite a few subsidiaries. They have different brand names. But yeah, there are a lot of movie studios for sure.
Have you dealt with racism in the industry?
Oh, for sure. Racism and more importantly, sexism. For
Mm-hmm.
sure. No doubt about that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So would you say, what would you say have been some of your biggest challenges? Because I know you love what you do, but if you were to say, okay, this is definitely something that,
Wow. I would say, wow, because I'm a little bit different because I'll walk away from something quick. But I would
okay.
say that just in general, like you said, racism, but really sexism. A lot of
Mm,
times, people will take being feminine as a weakness.
mm,
I've seen that a lot. And
mm,
because, like you said earlier, I'm very like nice, you
mm,
know, and a lot of people take that for granted because just
mm,
like I'm on here now, this is where I am on my sets. People are like, how are you so calm on your sets? And I'm like, well, I
mm.
have to stay calm because otherwise, if I lose it,
Yeah.
we're going to lose time and money. But at the same time, when it comes down to it, if I need to straighten someone out or I need to fire somebody, something like that, I mean, especially if a network show, we're talking about on the low end, $200,000 a day to film. So I
Mm,
can't have people disrupting the set or, having tantrums and all that kind of stuff because
yeah.
I'm responsible. I'm
Mm,
responsible for whether or not we make the day or not. And filming is very hard. It's hard to make a day in filming because so
yeah.
so many things pop up that you don't expect, and that's really what an executive producer is. A fire. We put out fires all day, every day. Something's guaranteed to go
So,
wrong. No matter how much you plan, something's going to go wrong, and you have to act fast. You have to do what you
mm,
need to do, and you have
mm,
to have it where the network trusts you. Like when I would call HBO and say we can't shoot this because of yada yada. They were like, we trust you. If you say you can't do it, we can't do it. You see what I'm saying? But you
mm,
have to make quick decisions, and you have to deal with a lot of people. Like, and for me, my crews are not small. I know for like a lot of reality shows and stuff like that, the crews are kind of small. For my shows, the smallest crew I've ever had was 89 people, just on the
wow.
crew, not including the cast. That my smallest crew has been 89 people. So when you're talking about dealing with 89 people or more, 6 days a week, 14 hours a day, people are gonna get in their feelings. People are gonna step on each other's toes. There were arguments with people and I would sit there and listen to people get upset with each other, and then I would wait and see, give it a few minutes, and most of the time one would go up to the other and apologize, say, "I'm sorry, I'm just trying to do my job," and the other person would say, "I'm just trying to do my job too." But there's always been times where I have to like go straighten people out. If somebody's not, is arguing with somebody or not doing what they're supposed to do, they come and get me. And I have to go in
You,
there, and handle it.
girl, you got mad leadership skills. I mean, most people can't get along with people, but the reality is that's so necessary because if you're going to be successful, you have to learn how to manage your own emotions and then help
Right.
other people in instances manage theirs. I've got a couple questions here. The ladies are asking if somebody wanted to write a book.
Mhm.
How do you feel about that? Because I know a lot of people want to write books. Your books have been very successful. Do you feel like you need to have an established brand first? Or do you feel like if somebody's just really gifted and passionate about writing it, they should write it and just get it out there? What do you
Well, I'm gonna
suggest
tell you,
there?
like I tell people all the time, writers write. I think that too many people concentrate on what's going to happen after they write the book. Is it going to sell? Is it going to be successful? And I think a lot of times too many people try to emulate something that's already out there, thinking that if they do that, that's what's going to sell. And that's not true. Books are hit or miss. I've read some very excellent books that did not sell for whatever
Mm,
reason. I've read other books that sold like crazy where the people were not, in my opinion, that talented. It's all,
Mm,
writing is a form of expression. And if they feel like they want to express themselves that way, they should go ahead and do it. But I want to go back to the leadership thing for a minute, if you don't mind. One thing I've learned in business, and I've been Zane for 20 years, but I was in corporate America long before then. And the one
mm,
thing that I know for sure is where a lot of people go wrong is by putting people in roles and in on a career path that they're not qualified for, or that
mm,
they're going to be stressed out about, they don't really want to do it. You have to, one of the first books I read on management talked about using people for the skills and stuff that they have, and not asking them to do stuff they're not capable of doing or things that they're uncomfortable doing. You'd be
mm,
amazed at how smoothly a company can run when everybody is doing stuff that they actually can do, love
mm,
doing, and they're not stressed out. Because what happened if you hire somebody to do something they can't do, then you have to go back behind them and do it yourself, get somebody else
mm,
to do it. You're stressed out about it, and they're stressed out about it because they're not performing well. So it's very important to put people in roles that
mm,
they're comfortable in, because a lot of
mm,
people just do a job just to make money. I knew that
mhm,
back, like when I first started in corporate America, I used to always, when if you go to the average office building,
mhm,
and people can do this experiment this week, go to an office building, or they work in an office building, in the morning time when people going up on the elevator, you can almost hear a mouse pissing on a cotton ball. People are dragging themselves in there. They really don't want to be there, but they're thinking, oh no, another work day. Just like tomorrow, people be talking about hump day. Like for me, I don't even consider days of the week because I work all the time. But a lot of people tomorrow be like, oh God, it's Wednesday. We halfway there. Half the week is over. Just a couple more days. And then,
mhm,
so when you're going up in the morning, everybody's dismal, most people. By
mhm,
lunchtime, people start, you go out to lunch, come back in. People a little bit chatty, talking a little bit more comfortable. They think, oh, half the day is gone. It's 1 o'clock, only 4 more hours. And then when 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock hits and they come in, then it's like, oh, I'm headed here. I can't wait to go here. I'm going to, everybody's excited. And that should not be the case.
right,
In
right.
my office, people, if we get off at 5, there are people sitting around my office at 8:30 at night, just talking,
Mm,
vibing. They don't even, people like, why your people don't want to leave? It's always been like that. And I'm like, y'all,
mm.
and I was
Because
like, y'all still
because
here?
you choose people, because you make sure you choose people that want to do
Right, because
that,
otherwise,
that that's in their gift. Because otherwise, you begging.
and then otherwise, you're gonna have a high turnover too. If you don't get the
Mm,
right people who really want to be there, they're just there for a minute, wait until they can get a job they really want. And then you find yourself having to hire again, having to
mm,
train again, all of that
mm,
kind of stuff. So I can't stress that enough, because, it's fine that a lot of people just want to work, but it's so much easier when you get those right people who really love their job.
want
Like
to
my
do
assistant, she'll tell everybody, I love my job. She says,
it.
I love my job. And when I relocated to Atlanta, she was like, you're not going down there without me, are you? When we moving? What date we moving? And she came and started. She was down here before me looking for a place. She didn't want to work for nobody else.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. I love that. That's powerful. So let me ask you this, because I think it's a misnomer. Sometimes people feel like, I think I heard you say on average you work about how many hours a day?
Filming, we're on set 14 hours a day, but I'm working like 18 altogether. That's just the
So about
filming
eight.
schedule, 14.
Girl,
And on
I
a
love you.
regular day, just with everything I do on a regular day, probably at least 16 to 18 hours a day.
I love that. So let me ask you this. Do you, with other women that you know, because
Hmm.
obviously, okay, now, I'm going to ask you a little bit about your personal life. Do you have any grown children? Married,
Yes.
been married?
Yes. Hmm.
Okay, so are you married now?
No,
Okay, so but how many grown children do you have?
I have two.
You have two grown children. So two questions. On average, really highly powerful, successful women, on average, how many hours do you think that they work?
It really depends on what they do, and how they structure their life and their schedule. Like I really should not. I should cut back on my work schedule, and I do some days. Some days, I'll be honest, I don't really do anything. But for the most part, I work a lot. But I'm very good. What I'm very good at is time management. And that's going to be one of the next books I write about, work-life balance. Because when I say that, it doesn't mean that I'm not doing stuff with the family and all that kind of stuff like that. It just means that I figured out a way to do both.
To do
You know,
both. And I think that's the thing, that your balance, my balance, is going to look different from Betty Crocker's balance, who just wants to be at home and not have a career. And so I
right,
think sometimes powerful women who, are very ambitious and have dreams and desires, you can't look at her for your balance, because you're never going to come anywhere close
right.
to doing nothing, because there's so many dreams and things that you want to do. What would you say is, because I always talk about, it works with Ben and I, because Ben happens to be like me. He's very ambitious, he's very driven, he can work long hours. He's working now while I'm doing this webinar, and it works. Do you think that in order for a woman's marriage who is high powered and ambitious and big dreams and big goals, that in order for her to make it work, do you feel like her husband has to be the same way, or can he be opposite? What are some of the things, what
I've seen
advice?
it work both ways. I personally like ambitious men, and I'm with an ambitious man now. I prefer ambitious men, but I've seen successful women where their husbands are just homebodies and don't want to go out, and do a bunch of stuff. It really depends on the woman and what type of woman she is and what type of man she needs, to be honest. I don't think there's a blanket statement, because the same thing goes for men, or high-powered men. There's some high-powered men that want a high-powered woman. And then the other ones that just want, a woman that's going to be there for them. And they come home and it's peaceful, and all that kind of stuff like that. And I think a woman can be a balance of both. Like, I have a 14-year-old. I've been teaching him how to cook the last 2 days. Now, I'm still working, but today I taught him how to cook Old Bay and lemon pepper wings, home style cream corn, and fresh string beans. Now, I did that all in the middle of, writing a treatment for a show, doing all this other stuff I needed to do. I still, did that. So you can balance it out. But
Yeah.
I think that it really, a woman has to know, women have different personalities, what I'm basically saying. And it really, I've always said that a lot of women know what they want in a man, but very few of them know what they actually need. I know what I need in a man, and there is a difference.
Yeah,
There's a
that's
difference
good.
what you want and what you actually need. Like, I need
Yeah.
a man to set me straight sometimes.
Yeah.
Like the guy I'm with, we were engaged years ago after I got a divorce, and we broke up, and now we're back together, and it's a challenge, but I know that we fit. Now
Hmm.
he and I are too much alike, and I told him, was it today, yesterday? I think it was yesterday. I told him, I said, the traits that initially attracted him to me and that he admired in me are traits that he doesn't like when they're directed towards him. Like, he
Mm.
likes the fact that I'm a shrewd businesswoman and that I'm about my business and all that stuff. But at the same time, that happens a lot, just in general. A lot of people are attracted to someone because of particular traits, but when those traits are directed towards them, it's a whole new world. They don't like it then. You see what I'm saying? But they have to learn to accept that that's who that person is. They can't turn it, like, I can't turn off who I am like a faucet. I can tone it down a little bit, knowing how he feels about it. I can kind of like catch myself, you see what I'm saying, and
Yeah,
tone it
yeah.
down some, but I can't completely come home and be a totally different person.
Right. Yeah, no, that's so good. It's so
Hmm.
funny, because my honey told me today, because I had a bunch of errands I had to do today, and then I had to teach at church, and then he said, honey, I want some of your chicken breast. So I literally was like, okay, so take it out, because I knew I was going to be leaving church at 8, and
Hmm.
this webinar was at 8:30. So I literally had him take out the chicken he wanted. I literally put on some sides, and then ran up here. But he's so happy. So you're
Uh-huh.
right. It's about, making sure that you still do those little extra nuances
Right,
for your
exactly.
family, so that they feel valuable and they feel important and a part of your whole success journey. And it
Exactly.
can be done. It can be done. And it doesn't mean you've got to be domineering or, masculine in order to be effective. And that's one of the
Right.
things that I love about you. You really embrace your femininity. You're a powerhouse, but you're still very comfortable in your skin as a woman, and embracing the feminine side of you. So I think it's amazing. I want to, we're almost out of time. I want to just open it up for maybe 2 or 3
Sure,
questions.
sure.
So if you all have a question for Zane, go ahead and unmute. I see Sheila just put in the chat, I love how balanced and peaceful she is. And that's the thing about Zane. Like every time I see her, we
I'm
can be,
always like this. People, I mean, this is literally the way, no matter what the scene, or, the situation, I'm always exactly like this.
yeah, which I think is amazing.
Thank
So
you.
and it also, I think, is proven to be very necessary to some degree, because you do have to work with a lot of people, which I think also speaks to you being an extremely highly mature person. And I think that is, all those things are really important. When you're talking about having major success, you need to really become very mature in how you manage your emotions, because you're going to have
Absolutely.
to.
Well, I practice the 4 agreements. One of my friends called me that she said, "Did I do something wrong? I haven't heard from you for a while." And I said, "You don't need to make assumptions." I said, "Why are you assuming because you haven't heard from me in a while that you did something wrong?" So I practice the 4 agreements. Don't take anything too personally. Don't take anything personally at all. Never make assumptions. Be impeccable to your word and always do your best. And while that seems very simple, it's, sometimes it can be very hard not to take things personally. But I really don't. I
That's
mean, because
good.
if I know I haven't done anything and somebody starts flipping out, I know that's an issue that has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And I don't jump to conclusions or assume stuff. And you believe it or not, if you do those 4 things, it makes life so much
Yeah.
simpler. You know what I mean? Keep your word, and then you don't have to worry about somebody being upset because you didn't. You
Yeah.
know,
That's
do your
good.
best. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Anybody have any? I love that. I always tell the ladies, bring your A game. Tanya, did you unmute yourself? Did you have a question? Anybody have
Yes.
a question?
Hi. How are you?
Hey.
Hi.
Hello. I wanted to find out, do you, I know you said you produce, do you write any TV sitcoms, and do you ever accept any ideas or submissions from people ever?
I do write. I'm actually in the middle of writing a couple of sitcoms right now. The only reason I don't really accept ideas because I can't really like do anything with them because the situation I'm in now, I'll be honest, I tried to take a lot of other people's stuff to different studios and networks and stuff, and their response has always been, "We want to do your stuff. What do you have?" And so I think it's unfair for me to go down that road right now, to be honest with you, because that's what always ends up happening. I have tried that, and they're always like, "Okay, this is okay, but we want to do your stuff." So that's the only reason I'm like that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's good. Anybody else have any other questions for Zane tonight? This is so good. You covered a lot of great things, a lot of leadership, entrepreneurship, business, the whole thing.
Oh,
Any other questions?
that's it.
You got to make sure you unmute. You got to make sure you unmute
Hi,
yourself.
can y'all hear me?
Hey.
How are you? This is
Hi.
Thede or Arthreese.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm wonderful, and you?
I'm good, thank you. So my question was, you indicated, and you might have just answered this, you indicated you publish other authors, and
Mhm.
so I wanted to find out what you look for in an author and in the book itself.
I look for books that authors that think outside of the box, that write outside of the box. In many ways, every story has already been told before, but it's really in how an interesting way that you tell it. And one thing, because I also teach writing and publishing and script writing and all that stuff, teach all of that stuff. One thing I always teach my students is I like writing to be in a pie method, and whether it's writing for television, film, or books. And when I say pie, I mean ultimately I think that any kind of creative work should persuade, inform, and entertain all at the same time. You want to persuade somebody to do something, whatever it is. You want to inform them about something without making it seem like it's a textbook or a class. And you want to entertain them all at the same time. And if you can do that, that it goes a long way to becoming a good writer.
Hmm, that's good. That's really good.
Thank you.
Arthreese, did that help you?
Yes, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Awesome, awesome. All right, great. That was great. We're out of time already tonight. I'm so excited that you came on. I'm going to definitely be texting you because I'm coming to
Okay.
Atlanta on the 5th and 6th, and
Okay,
hopefully
good.
you'll be around so we can get you interviewed. But I appreciate your candor. I really appreciate your humility, your balance, and just your confidence. I think that the more that other women who are aspiring, growing, no matter where you are, it's just always amazing. I mean, I love your confidence and how sure you are of yourself. And I think that
Oh,
is like
thank you.
so critically important
It
for
is. You have to
your
believe in
success.
yourself. And honestly, if you don't believe in yourself, other people will pick up on it. And if you don't, I tell writers that all the time. Like a lot of writers don't want to talk about their books, or they don't want to do a reading or something because they're afraid of what people think. If you're not confident in your writing, why would
Mhm.
anybody else? Why would anybody want to buy your book?
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah.
the same thing in any other type of situation. You have to be confident in whatever it is you do, because if not, people will be able to tell. They can always tell. Just like in sales, most people know, they may not know whether or not they want the product or not, but most people know within 2 or 3 minutes, once they meet a salesperson, whether or not that person is someone that they would even buy anything
You're right, girl. You telling the
from.
truth because people buy you before they buy the product or the service, and that's just the reality.
Exactly.
So that's why you got to be right
Exactly.
every day. So we
Hmm.
love you. I thank you so much for coming on tonight, and I will be in touch. You're welcome to hang out with us, or I know you probably got 1,000 other things to do. So no, I appreciate you,
Oh,
and I'll
thank
talk to you
you. Yeah,
soon. Everybody,
definitely be in touch.
okay, hon. Bless you.
Okay. Take care. Bye bye.
Hey, so tonight also, I think Ashia, are you on? Or either Millie. We got some
Hey,
updates that we want to give you guys. Man, that was so good. I hope that you guys got a lot from her. Again, when you have an opportunity to sit down with somebody who's had the kind of success that she's had, you pay attention to their demeanor. You know how she said her crew is 89. For our reality show, we average maybe 10 to 15 for our crew. So for her to have to manage a crew uh, is 89 people a day. You already know her people skills, her social skills, her leadership skills are on point. And so that's why we're doing this reading. And I hope everybody got the book Start with the Why, because we're going to be dissecting that book, taking a look at that book, and it's really going to get you thinking. That's what I really love about it. So make sure if you haven't gotten that book, make sure you go ahead and get that book. It starts with the why. Very, very, very powerful book. And I'm just going to recommend, try to just start reading every day, even if it's just like 2 pages. Highlight it, make notes, because those things are going to be triggers for you to help you think about other things in your own personal business as you build your own personal brand. Okay. So I wanted to make sure I said that. And so Camille or Ashia, I'll turn the call over to one of you ladies.
hey, it's Camille. Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Awesome. Hey, ladies. Good evening. Thanks
Oh,
so much for.
Millie. Oh, wait,
Yes.
hold on 1 second. I want to say this too. We're going to start doing the Millionairess chats on Sundays. They're going to start happening on Sunday evening. So hopefully that works well for you all. But most of the chats will now be on Sunday evenings. Okay. All right. Back to you, Mill. Thank you.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. Hey, ladies. Just wanted to remind you, Dr. Jewel touched on a few of these things at the beginning of the call, but I just wanted to make sure that you mark your calendars for a few dates. We have registration opening soon for the Black Girls Take Wall Street, which is August 3rd through 5th in New York City. So mark your calendars for that. The registration will be opening soon for that. And also, as we mentioned on our last chat on Saturday, the Millionaires Conference in Atlanta, Georgia, November 3rd through 4th, that is about to roll out as well. So go ahead and mark your calendars for both of those events. Also, go ahead and mark your calendar for our next club chat, which is going to be on Sunday, June the 4th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll get an email and reminder about that, but we wanted to go ahead and let you know. And on this particular chat, Dr. Jewel is going to be talking about some different things that we all can do now, because we're taking into consideration a lot of the surveys and things like that we received. And so we have some information that we want to make sure that you get on things that you could do now for the person who may not be in position to, invest $5,000 or $10,000. is some different things you can start with now that may only be $15, or, you know, ways to make additional income, as well as starting to invest where you are and grow to that. So you definitely want to make sure that you avail yourself for that, because we're going to be giving out some awesome nuggets and things that you'll be able to plug into. So that is June the 4th on a Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, if you are in Atlanta, or you know anybody who is in the Atlanta area, we are doing another Millionairess meetup on June 6th in Atlanta, Georgia. So if you have people in that area and you want them to be able to come out and hear about the Millionaires Club and plug in, you know, invite them to that. We'll be sending out those details. The flyer is almost complete for that. And then also alongside that, you guys, we have about, today is the 23rd, we have about 8 more days in the month. So we did get some new registrations and people referring. So don't forget, if you have your 5 registrations personally referred by you, by the end of the month, you get an awesome care package from Dr. Jewel. So we're still looking out for those registrations, and we will be announcing who those people are at the end of the month. So I did want to remind you guys of that as well. So that is all I have. Dr. Jewel, do you have anything else before we wrap the call?
No, just, you know, I hope again that I know that Zane blessed you guys as she blessed me, just her demeanor and everything. Make sure you write down those dates for everything that we have going on, and start reading the book, Start with the Why, because we're going to be discussing that as well. I hope you got your dictionaries on finance, dictionaries on real estate. And what I'm doing, I'm just, you know, reading out, even if it's just one definition a day, just so that you can start to kind of build your vocabulary. That's going to be really important. Oh, wait, somebody just said they're going to be there for New York. Who said that? Y'all better come on. Oh, okay, that was us. Was that us texting? Will the texting seminar take place June 3rd through the 6th? It's going to be the actual class. Yes, the class is going to be the 3rd through the 6th, but the actual auction is on the 6th, okay? All right. And if you're an investor, you can come to that with me. Okay. All right. I love you guys. Let's make it a great date. And I'll let you know as soon as I get Miami dates. I don't know Miami dates yet, but I got New York. So hopefully you guys will be joining us in New York. Have a great night. And I love you. Bye.